Class, let's go ahead and start this off. I got all the odd ones. We're doing 1 through 24. So let's graph the function, compare the graph to the graph of fx equals x squared. So in this one, we have x squared, but we're adding 6. When we add 6 to x squared, we're doing a vertical translation up 6 units. So you can see here, we're coming up from where 0, 0 would be, right? Because if x was 0, and y would be 0, right? And so we're coming up to 6. That's our starting point. And then if x was 1, or -1, let's say, -1 times -1 would be 1, and 1 plus 6 is 7. If x was 0, then 0 plus 6 would be 6. And you see this, where -1 was 7 here, right in the middle of 6 and 8. And then if x was 1, right, then 1 times 1 would be 1, and 1 plus 6 would be 7 right there. And they already showed where -2 would be 10, and -2 would be 10. All right, so this is a vertical translation 6 units up from the graph of f. Let's go on. Number 3 says compare to f of x, once again, to x squared. If I'm doing this time, it subtracts 3, which means it's a vertical translation down 3 units from 0, 0. And here we go. We see 1, 2, 3 units down from 0, 0. We're looking at the same thing. We got -2, right? -2 times -2 would be 4, and 4 minus 3 is 1. So when x is -2, let's see, then y will be 1. That means when x is 2, y will be 1. When x is -1, well, -1 times -1 is 1, and 1 minus 3 is -2. So when x is -1, y will be -2. And that means when x is 1, y will be -2. All right? And that's how they get the parabola there. That is a vertical translation 3 units down. All right, you've got number 4. Number 5, compare the graph of g to the graph of f. Well, g is saying that it's going to be 5x squared plus 3, f of x, which is 5x squared. So we have a vertical translation 3 units up. A vertical translation 3 units up. Okay? We're just adding that 3 to what was there. All right, number 6 is yours to do. Number 7, we're comparing 3x to the second power minus 9 to 3x squared, or 3x to the second power. That means we have a vertical translation 9 units down. Okay, a vertical translation 9 units down of the graph of f. Right? They're taking the time to go ahead and put everything in a table to show you where all your coordinates would be. But the bottom line is, when you subtracted 9 from this, it was a vertical translation down 9 units. Number 8 is yours to do. Number 10 says, describe the transformation from the graph of f to the graph of g. Graph of f is 3x squared plus 4. Graph of g is f of x, which is this, plus 2. Well, this means we're adding 2, right? So this is going to be a vertical translation 2 units up. Okay, we're just adding 2 to this. All right, so see, 10 is yours to do. 11, we're comparing f to g again. We have a -1/4 x to the second power minus 6. This is f of x. And we're subtracting 3. So we're taking the same parabola, and then we're going down 3 units. So this is a vertical translation 3 units down of the graph of f. You can see that they've shown you the table for f of x and where all the coordinates would be. And then they showed you for g of x, which is 3 units down from f of x. Okay? And they even show you right here, f of x equals all of this, right? See, it worked out right there. And then you're minusing 3 from it. So you're taking the same parabola, and then we're going down 3, right? -6 and -3 make a -9. And that's why it's at -9. All right, number 12 is yours. Number 13, it says find the zeros of the function. If I'm finding the zeros, I can remember what we learned, let's see, in the other lesson for chapter 7, I could take this here because of the negative, and this square root of 1 is 1. I can turn this to x squared minus 1 squared, which is, of course, going to be x minus 1 times x plus 1. And when I solve everything for 0, then that's going to make this x equals 1 and x equals negative 1. All right, so those are going to be my zeros. So you can see right here, x is negative 1 and x is 1. Okay? They'll tell you to use a table. You'll just be putting negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, and 2 in place of x and then solving for it. But you can see right there that exactly what it's going to be. All right, number 14 is yours to do. I'm moving on. Number 15, we could do the same thing, except we've got to factor out the negative sign. Remember, if there's a negative in front, we're going to factor it out. So put the negative here. This is going to be x squared, and then that's going to cause this positive to become a negative. And remember the rule again, as long as that middle sign's a negative, and I have a number that I can get a square root of, like this number here, I can turn this to negative, and then put x squared minus 5 squared. Square root of 25 is 5. And that's going to turn this to negative x minus 5, x plus 5. So when I solve, I'm going to get x equals 5 and x equals negative 5. All right. And there we are, negative 5 and 5. All right, when we use the parabola, we're going to go ahead and take that negative x squared. Just going to pop those numbers in. If this was a 1, then it would be, right, 1 is 1. So you're going to be going, remember, this is equaling 5, so this must be in sequence of 2. So that means this is 1. That would be about 1, 1 right there, because each of these are 5. So about 1, 1 right there. And then the next one would be 2 and 4, right? So when it's 2, and that would be here, it would be about here, and that's not quite 5, right? That would be about 4. So you can see the zeros are 5 and negative 5. Number 16 is yours to do. Number 17, don't forget the totus. Factor out the greatest common factor. I can factor out 4 here. But, and I could turn this to, let's see, 4, and then it would be x squared. And I could put minus, let's see, 16 divided by 4 is 4. And I could turn this to 4 over here and then say this is x squared minus 2 squared. And then this is going to become x minus 2, x plus 2, which means x is going to equal 2, and x is going to equal negative 2. And there it is, negative 2 and 2. Okay? You can use the table if you want, or you can use the skills that you learned from chapter 7 to solve this. Doesn't matter. Number 18 is yours to do. Number 19, once again, we're going to factor these out. The greatest common factor here is 3, actually negative 3, so I'm going to factor out negative 3. That's going to leave me a positive 4x squared. And then, let's see, a negative times a negative will give me a positive, so this will be 1. Both 4 and 1 have a square root, so I can turn this to 2 to the second power, x to the second power, minus 1 to the second power, which is going to turn to 2x minus 1 and 2x plus 1. And when I solve this, I'll be taking 2x minus 1 equals 0, which would turn this to 2x equals 1, which would make this x equals 1 over 2 when I divide both sides by 2. So I got a half, which means this one's going to equal negative 1/2. Right? I can work through it if you'd like. 2x plus 1 equals 0. When I move 1 to the other side, it'd be 2x equals negative 1. When I divide by 2, that's why I get negative 1 over 2. So my zeros are going to be at 0 and 1/2, and actually it'll be 1/2 and 0 and negative 1/2 at 0. There we are, negative 1/2 and 0 and 1/2 and 0. All right. Let's see, you've got number 20 to do. I'm going to 21. You drop a water balloon from a height of 144 feet. What does the function represent? Well, what does it represent? Well, I'm at 144 feet and I'm dropping the balloon, right? So the function represents the height in feet of the water balloon t seconds after it's dropped from a height of 144 feet. All right, find and interpret the domain of h. So the domain of h, we're realizing we're plugging in different numbers like 0, 1, 2, and 3 for t. When I do this, I see that I got 144 when it's 0, 1 when t is 1, h would be 128. So when t is 1, 128. When t is 2, then let's see, h would be, let's see, 80. And when t is 3, then f of t, which, that's going to be 0. So it's just telling me is after 3 seconds, right, this water balloon that I dropped is going to hit the ground. So find the positive 0 of the function when t equals 3, f of t equals 0. The 0 is 3, so the water balloon hits the ground 3 seconds after it is dropped. So the domain is h is a number that is bigger or equal to 0 or smaller or equal to 3. All right, 22 is yours to do. 23 says describe and correct the error in finding the 0. So according to this, we're going to start at 16. Yep, that's true. The y-intercept of the graph of f is 16. So it says the 0 is 16. That's not true now. Let's look at this carefully. If I was to solve this, let's see, negative 1/4 x squared plus 16. Okay, so I believe they told us to multiply everything by 4, right, to solve this. So if I did that, I'm going to go ahead and take 4 times, I guess I should do it by -4 to get rid of that negative sign, right? Negative times a negative will give me that positive that I want. So I'm going to have, let's see, this is going to become, let's see here, this will become 1x squared, right? Because I have negative 4 times negative 1 is 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1x squared. And then 4 times 16 is 64. And let's see, a negative times a positive, that's going to give me a negative. Now we're down to that rule again, Well, we know that if I see a negative and I see a square root, I can say this is x squared minus, or actually plus, no, actually minus 8. Sorry about that. Okay, and then let's see here. Oh, square. And that's going to turn this to x plus 8, x minus 8. And when we solve for x, that would be x equals negative 8 and x equals positive 8. Let's see how that worked out. And as you can see, this is 4 and 12, so in between there has to be 8. Negative 8 and positive 8 were correct. So answer is, and I'm just going to move this out of the way and erase out right there. The x-intercepts of the graph are negative 8 and positive 8. So the zeros are negative 8 and positive 8. So yeah, he had the wrong zeros. All right, let's go to number 24. And that was yours to do. Oh, and that was all of them. So I'll see you in class for grading. Have a great night.